Hello, in the previous video, I showed you how you could build the AWS Landing Zone from scratch on Brainboard, automatically generate your Terraform code, as well as splitting your resources into multiple files. For example, here, the main.tf, the public, and the private.tf here. You can find these files here, private.tf, public, and for example, if you have created variables, you can find all your variables here as well. In today's video, we are going to look at how you can convert this cloud infrastructure into a reusable module. And we will also deep dive on how you can use Terraform modules on Brainboard. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to go to GitHub to do the integration between GitHub and Brainboard. Here, to do this integration, you can also look at the documentation to help you do that. Now, we can also go to personal Git tokens and do the integration with Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, and GitLab. For example, for Azure DevOps, here you have the documentation. You can set up your credentials by specifying the name, the organization URL, and the token. For Bitbucket, here is the documentation that you can use. And you can specify the credentials with the name, the base URL, the username, and the password. And for GitLab, you have the documentation here. And you add your credentials by specifying the name, the base URL, and the token. As Brainboard is a collaborative solution, you can also change the scope of the credentials here, and you can select for which project, environment, and architectures you authorize these credentials to be used. Now you have done the integration, you can go back to the design, and now we're going to create a pull request. To create your pull request, you can either use GitHub, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, or GitLab. Today we will use GitHub. Here you have the project, and we will add a description. So AWS Landing Zone. And here we create the pull request. Here Brainboard gives us the link to the PR with all the files that have been modified and created directly from Brainboard. For example, here we have the main.tf, the private.tf, provider, and public.tf. And now we go to code. Here we copy the URL. We go back to Brainboard. We do import Terraform module. Here you also have the documentation for the module, how to use module and what are the differences between modules. Here we add a module name is AWS Landing Zone. And here you can either import your module from the registry, from Git, or from files. Let's say from Git, here we paste it. And then we can also customize the icon. Here, for example, AWS Landing Zone. And now we do the import. Here, Brainboard is telling you that the module download has done an error. And here, you simply need to specify that your repo is private and requires credentials. Here, the service is GitHub. And then you import your module. And you can find it here. Let's say now that another team member would like to use this module in, let's say, production. Here we go to production. We open the architecture, so here Terraform modules. And here, to use the module, simply need to drag and drop it here. I'm going to make it bigger. And here we open the ID card, and you have the module name, the module source, the optional variables, and the extra attributes of Terraform with the count, the depends on, and the for each. And as you can see, the Terraform code has automatically been generated. Now we're going to work on another use case. Let's say, for example, you would like to use a module from the community. Here are all the modules that you can use. And let's say that you would like to use the AWS module VPC. To use it, you simply need to copy the source here. Go back to Brainboard. Here, import Terraform module, VPC module. Here, from the registry, you paste the source path. And here, you have two options. Either you want to pin the version as latest, meaning every time that there would be a modification on this module, Brainboard will always keep this module up to date, or you can also decide to use a specific version here. So now we will use a custom icon here, AWS VPC, and we import it. Now that it's imported, you can use it. Here, drag and drop it. The ID card will be automatically open. Here, the module name, the module source, the optional variables, and you can configure your module this way. For example, here, if you want more indication for the private dedicated network ACL, you go to I, and then you can read it here. Here, you can also write the Terraform code for the public subnet names. Here, see more, you can read, and like that, Brainboard is also helping you configure this module. Here, let's say that you would like to see the interaction between modules and resources. Let's say, for example, subnet. Simply need to drag and drop it here. As you can see, Brainboard is able to detect the interaction between these two, and here the VPC ID is the module VPC. And the Terraform code has automatically been generated and updated. Now, let's say that you would like to use a module from Azure. You can do the same. Here, Azure. And here, you can use, for example, Azure VNet. So we are going to do the same thing. Here is the source. You copy it. Here, you import the Terraform module. It's going to be Azure VNet Terraform module import. You paste the source path. Again, here you choose either latest or you pin a specific version. Here you choose VNet, and then you import it. Now that it's imported here, you can use it. Here you have the ID count, and you can configure your module. Here you make it bigger. And now let's say that you would like to use a module from OCI. Then here you go to Terraform module, OCI. Here you have all the modules that you can use. Let's say, for example, you would like to use the VCN. Here you copy the source. Here OCI VCN Terraform module. Registry, you paste it here. You choose the icon with this one. You pin the version, and here you import. And here, to use it, you drag and drop it here. You configure it with for example, the option of variables. And this is the way you can use your modules. And here you make it bigger. And here you have used 4 modules. The Terraform code has automatically been generated. And here you have also created your own module catalog that other teams can use across multiple environments. So I hope this video has been useful for you. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to help you build your own use case on Brainboard. Have a great day.